Hello, welcome back to Planet Zoo, welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to a series where we are making a series of gardens. So, you might have seen intro there. I just thought it would be a good idea to show you what we're doing this episode and what's going to be coming up. So, I'm just removing the path here because I'm going to edit the terrain so it's more rough and hilly, because the flat terrain was a bit boring. And then later I change it all to sand because today we're building the desert garden, or the cactus garden. So I'm just making interesting shape here with the hills, and then I'm going to extend both these paths to cross over each other and then do a loop, but then there's going to be some other paths coming over. This path here I'm building is going to be like the less accessible path, because if you look, it goes quite steeply over that hill, and then this one, really accessible, it goes around the other side and meets up with that path there. Then I'm going to have some more flat paths going around as well. I do change these paths out in a minute to be sand paths rather than this material which I've got going on at the moment. I'm just using the fine sand to paint over the terrain, where I do blend some rough sand and soil in later using the option where it isn't 100% intensity, so it kind of like is a nice mix instead of just being one. So here I'm just going in with a rough sand on intensity 20%, and then just trying to blend it in so it doesn't just all look the same material. Here I'm just, like I said, I'm changing out the path to be sand because it's a desert garden, and this path which I've got currently didn't really look for peace, so I'm just adding the more accessible path which goes around this side. I do extend the whole sand area later in a minute because I thought it was a bit small, and then in the next episode we're going to put animals in here, and there's going to be another surprise in that episode. So here's just the path going to the other side of the desert garden, because the idea is you can walk through to get to another area of the gardens which will be there. But by the end of the series I want all the areas filled with something, so it is going to be a long series. I'm just making a palette here of all the different pieces of grass, cacti, moss and trees I want to use, all the plants basically. And then here I'm just adding like this Jeep prop to bring some character to the garden. I'm now adding all the different sizes of cacti and dotted around the garden, although I'm focusing on this side first. I'm using these small ones as well and rotating them each time so they don't look too similar. It's hard to make them look random and not identical, especially when there's only like barely any versions of each plant in the game. But we manage. I'm now just blending in some soil with 10% intensity because I didn't want it to go too dark, although I did still think it was currently a bit too light, and I think I really like the effect that it leaves. I'm now just adding these more bushier cacti around the garden. And then I'm using this pattern I made with the small ones, and then I'm going to place it in different places in the garden. Now using this moss, I think it looks like a nice filler, and maybe just like dirt or leaves or something. It's not supposed to really look like moss because that's not what you would get here, but I think it gives a nice effect. Now adding all these different types of grass. I just searched for biome desert on the nature, and I think it works fine with finding the correct plants. Although I still do use the palette later. Now adding all the different sizes of this certain plant, and then I'm going to copy and paste them to other areas of the garden in a minute. So I'm just using these bushier pieces of grass here. They look like they have kind of like red berries almost in them. I like how they look. And I'm using these yellow grass as well. Keep zooming out to see how it looks from the top, even though like the most important view is first person view and how people will be walking around. I am very conscious of how it looks from the top, so that's why I kept zooming out. I'm now adding more of these different grass around, and I just added some trees as well. So this is the small grass I was talking about copying around the garden. From first person view, I think this looks amazing, especially with all like the raised terrain. So the inspiration from this whole garden kind of came from many different cacti gardens, but in particular one from Fuerteventura. It's one in the Oasis Wildlife Park there. I'm now just going to add a rock kind of sculpture just to add some character to the hill, so it's not just bland. Keep using that word character, but I do believe it does add character. I got this blueprint from the African entrance, where I delete all the entrance pieces. I'm just going to use it for the kind of archway to the this side of the cacti garden. I'm just editing the wall so you can walk all the way through it, and then adding the path. So this is what we got so far, and it contrasts nicely to that butterfly garden we got here, especially on the hill. And then I'm adding these dead bushes here to fill in the space. And now just these greeny dead bushes and more moss. And more cacti. I was thinking this space looks a bit bare, so I was trying my best to fill it in without it looking too filled, because it is a cacti garden supposed to be set in the desert, and there's loads of space between each plant in the desert, so I was trying to make it look a bit bare. And I think what we do accomplish eventually, the result is quite good. Just adding some more trees, and then I'm going to add these bushes to line the whole garden. I rotate them each time, similar to what I did with the butterfly garden with that butterfly bush. I just think it helps add a border to where the garden begins and ends. Help them flow into each other, all the different gardens. Yeah, I think it looks really good when you go around it from a first person view like that. And then obviously I'm going to fill in this big space between the path and those bushes. So before that, I just noticed these plants I copy and pasted were not the right height at all, so I had to go through individually and correct the height. Looking back, I probably could have just selected move and then I clicked V for it to align to the floor, but I wasn't that smart, so I did it all with the Ctrl X tool. Each individual piece of grass, it was because of I copy and pasted it from a hill, and then that's a fairly flat piece of land there, so I'm just adding the cacti here to the empty bit at the moment, and all adding the different sizes of cacti, and then this little pattern I made earlier with this tiny peak ones, and obviously more moss, and more of this pattern, and these dead bushes. So this is what it looks like now with a sunset, and we're gonna go around it, do a little tour of what we've done. So I think this looks so good and contrasts so nicely to what's on the left, the butterfly garden, especially in the sunset. It just looks so good. And then all the cactus around us, and then you can go on all the different paths here, because I made quite a few. And then this is the steep one, and then we go down here, and that's what it looks like from the entrance. Thanks so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, it really helps to grow the channel, and I'll see you next week for another episode. Bye.